quality assurance, this call may be monitored or recorded. Our choice selection. For information on the advertising solutions we offer with the AT&T Real Yellow Pages, yellowpages.com, search engine marketing, mobile search, and direct marketing, press 1. If your question is in regard to your current advertising billing, press 2. If you're calling about a wireless product, press 3. If you're calling about your residential telephone service, press 4. If you're calling with questions about your business telephone service, press 5. If you're calling about DSL products, press 6.
You don't want this, do
For
you?
all other questions, please remain on the line for the next customer service representative.
I don't know exactly who I have to hit,
Did
but
you know that our redesigned website now allows our valuable customers to easily track the effectiveness of their ad, manage accounts, and much more? Visit adsolutions.att.com/login today. Please ask your representative for details.
Thank you for calling AT&T Advertising Solutions. This is Sterling.
how you doing, Sterling?
Alrighty.
How you doing? This is Advertising Solutions, you're saying?
Yes.
All right, Sterling. Sterling, I don't know if you're the right person that I have to speak with. I have a question about one of your listings in the AT&T Real Yellow Pages for Miami-Dade County. Is it you who I speak about that? It's a listing that already exists.
Okay, is it your listing?
No, it's a business listing.
Okay, because actually this is customer service for businesses who advertise with us.
Okay, I just have a question about why is, about a certain listing. Who do I speak to about that? Can you direct me? Give me a phone number.
What question do you have about the listing?
Well, I was looking up the Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami in your Yellow Pages, and I found it in the business section, not the government section. So I was curious as to why. That's my question. Why is the Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami listed in your business section and not your government section? That's just the question I have.
Because a bank is not a government office.
Excuse me?
A bank is not an official government office.
I'm not saying a bank. I'm saying the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay,
It's on page. I have it right here because it was astounding. It's on in your November 2011, 2012 in the business section. It's on page 108, and I was astounded by that. I looked it up in the government section. Your pages of the government section are 9 through 11. 9 through 11. Ew. 9/11, and it wasn't there. So I'm curious. Why would the Federal Reserve Bank be listed in the business section of your phone book?
okay, it's by their choice whether they want to be in the government or business section. It's by their choice. We couldn't really answer that question. They have the right to choose whether they want to be in the business or government sections of the Yellow Pages.
Okay, then let me ask you, right above the Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami in the business section is a corporation called Federal Metals Corporation. Could they have chosen to be listed in the government section?
If all businesses, if they're government affiliated, they have the right to be in business or government.
Okay, so it's by choice because they have a government contract, what you're saying.
Yes.
So a business that has a government contract can be listed in the government section if it chose to.
Yes.
So the Federal Reserve is a business and not a government agency, is what you're saying?
They choose whether they want to be in either section. It's by their choice.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye. Huh. Let me get it straight from the horse's mouth here. So by choice, agency that's private can advertise themselves as government, according to Sterling at the Advertising Solutions at AT&T Yellow Pages. Hello?
Listen to the following options. For customer service for financial institutions, press 1. For state for inquiries related to check adjustments and operations, currency and coin services, accounting and billing services, large dollar return, and for Fedline web and training, call the following toll-free number, 1-877-553-9735. That number again is
Did you hear information on that?
1-877-553-9735.
Did they have information available?
Oh, I doubt it. It's a Verizon website.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm gonna dial again. Well, I have another number here. Let me try. I'm gonna ask the bank itself why they're in the private section. There it goes. Maybe they went home? Or the 3-day weekend? I'm gonna try them one more time.
You trying to call?
The Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami. And I want to ask them if they can explain to me why they're listed in the private section. Why they chose to be listed in the private section, not the government section. As my friend Sterling told me that they have the choice. So why did they choose that and not the other? I'm curious now. Maybe I missed them. Maybe they went home early on Friday. They go home early on Friday. Man, I think I missed them. I'm gonna try this other number, and then I'm not gonna keep wasting time. This is all out of the business section of the real yellow pages of AT&T Miami-Dade County. I'm calling the Federal Reserve Branch Bank out of the business section of this book. 4, nope, that's not the one. That's the one I just dialed. 559 1 2 0 6 5. Let me give this one a try.
Calling the Miami branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Otherwise, please listen to the following options. For customer service or financial institution, press 1.
That's it.
Savings for inquiries related to check adjustments and operations, currency and coin services, accounting and billing services, large dollar returns, and for deadline web and training, please call the following toll-free number, 1-877-553-9735. That number again is 1-877-553-9735.
I'm gonna give that number a try, see if I can get an answer to this gazillion-dollar question. So by choice, they could be either or. So they're both. So they're both, huh? So a corporation is our government?
Thank you for calling the Customer Support Center of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. For quality assurance purposes, your message is being recorded. For check adjustments and as of, including Check 21 adjustments, press 1. For Check 21 production files, implementation, and setup, press 2. For check operations, including payer bank, imaging, dispatch, transportation, and check billing, press 3. For accounting and billing, press 4. For large dollar return item notifications, press 5. For cash services, press 7. For contingency situations, including storm-related information and hurricanes, press 8. To repeat these options, press 9.
That was what I needed. I wanted 0, see what happens. Hmm. I hit 0 again. I'll just hit one of those choices. I didn't hear anything that said public information, did you?
What about public information?
Did you hear a choice for public information?
No.
Customer Support Center of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. For quality assurance purposes, your message is being recorded. For check adjustments and as of, including Check 21 adjustments, press 1. For Check 21 production files, implementation, and setup, press 2. For check operations, including payer bank, imaging, dispatch, transportation, and check billing, press 3. For accounting and billing, press 4. For large dollar return item notifications, press 5. For cash services, press 7. For contingency situations, including storm-related information and hurricanes, press 8. To repeat these options, press 9.
I'm just gonna press 1.
The adjustment customer support number has changed. The new number is 1-877-372-2457. That number again is 1-8.
Alright, let me give that one a try. Just want a simple question answered. How hard could it be? Why do they make it so hard to answer the question, huh? I read on a website that the Fed is very defensive about this question. Factcheck.org was the website, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right, was that one?
Yeah.
Did you read that? They're very defensive about this question. Why?
From Check Services Customer Support Center. Your call may be recorded. Please hold for the next available agent. Federal Reserve Check Service Support. This is Vivian. I have your bank's routing number.
Hi, Lydia. No, I'm not a bank, and I'm sorry to bother you with this. I'm trying to get Federal Reserve information office. Is there a number for their information office?
You want an information number?
Yes, I'd like to get some information about the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay, you can try this number right here. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 888
888
851
851
1920.
1920. Thank you, sweetie. You have a good weekend.
You do the same. Bye-bye.
Bye. We'll get to the bottom of this yet. Of this grand
I can't
mystery.
record on this thing, but I don't have a disc.
That's fine. Oh, I think this is working. Oh God, I hope it's working.
Thank you for calling Federal Reserve Consumer Help. All calls are recorded. Para español, oprima el uno. All other callers, please remain on the line.
I think we got it. Yay!
If you have questions regarding the recently announced independent foreclosure review, please call 888-952-9105 or visit the website www.independentforeclosurereview.com for additional information. If you wish to file a complaint against a financial institution or if you have other questions, please remain on the line. All representatives are currently assisting other consumers. Please remain on the line and your call will be answered in the order in which it was received. If you have internet access, please visit our website at www.federalreserveconsumerhelp.gov where you will find many consumer resources.
.gov? .gov? Look at that. So on the website it's .gov. On the listing it's business. Is that right? They don't hide anything they do, man. It's not a secret. It's not a theory. They're overt with it.
Thanks for your patience. Please continue to hold for the next
It's so obvious. Our government's a corporation. You know? It's not our government. It's somebody's corporation. And I know who. I'm going to show you who in a minute. Or two or three.
Thanks for your patience. All representatives are currently assisting other consumers. If you would like to
Consumers.
frequently asked questions or more about the complaint process, please press 1. If you would like to leave a voicemail message, please press 2 or remain on the line to continue holding for the next available representative.
Did you guys want to eat? Because I'm going to pig out right now.
You know you're being recorded.
Go
And
ahead.
trillions of people on the internet are listening to you.
Thanks for your patience. Please continue to hold for the next available representative.
Can you bring me some wine? Well, this is Atlanta. A good thing about Atlanta, I get to ask them a question and get it out in the open air about
Thanks for your
modern money
patience.
mechanics.
All representatives are currently
They're the ones who published the booklet.
To frequently asked questions or more about the complaint process, please press 1. If you would like to leave a voicemail message, please press 2 or remain on the line to continue holding for the next available representative.
It's a good thing it's an 800 number. I wonder if my wife is being reported. That'd be hilarious.
To hold for the next available representative.
This video so far is 21 minutes. If we could edit this and shorten it to the nitties of the gritties, you know?
Should be able to.
Yeah. So Sterling says
Due to unusually high call volume, we are unable to take your call.
that's a whole lot of people that are going to ask him this question.
To frequently asked questions or more about the complaint process, please press 1. If you would like to leave a voicemail message,
Frequently asked questions. I just heard that.
welcome.
How long have they been saying that for?
Sorry, please just say complaint, or credit, or checking, or mortgage, or currency, or economic issues, or bonds.
Repeat.
Say Sorry, let's try this. For complaints, press 1. For credit, press 2. For checking, press 3. For mortgages, press 4. For currency, press 5. For economic issues, press 6. For savings and treasury bonds, press 7. For help, press star. To leave a voicemail message, press 0. Okay, economic issues. If at any time during the message you need a phone number or website repeated, just say phone number or website. Would you like to get this information over the phone or via mail?
Phone. Christ.
Sorry, please just say phone or mail. Would you
Phone.
like to get this information? Sorry, let's try this. For phone, press 1. Oh, okay, I've got quite a bit of information about economic issues, and you may want to write it down.
Oh, goodness. This ain't what I wanted. I don't want to get back in the line. Ugh.
Sorry, let's try this.
Who owns the Fed?
Sorry you're having trouble. Would you like to leave a voicemail message? Thank you for calling Federal Reserve Consumer Help Center. This is Ashley on a recorded line. Can I have your name, please?
Hi, Ashley. Are you a live person or a computer thing?
This is a person.
Oh, goodness. Great. Because I'm tired of these having to jump out through all these hoops. All right. My name is Xavier, Ashley, and I have a simple question. I don't know if you could help me. Maybe you might have to direct me. Do you answer are you information?
Yep, it depends on what you're asking, but what's your question?
My question is, why is the Federal Reserve Bank, Branch Bank of Miami, why is it listed in the business section of the phone directory and not in the government section?
Well, the Federal Reserve as a whole is made up of 12 different districts. The main governing body, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, is considered a part of government. However, the other 11 branches, or 12 branches, are considered private organizations. So that might be why they're listed in this section.
So there's 12 private organizations and 12 government organizations that control the Fed?
So the governing body, there's just one. They're located in Washington, D.C., and they're called the Board of Governors. body for the 12 Federal Reserve districts, which are considered private organizations.
So the governing body of the Federal Reserve that is in Washington, D.C., are the governing body of the 12 private Federal Reserve districts?
Right.
So the Federal Reserve is a private bank, is what you're saying?
The districts, the individual districts are considered, yes, organizations, but we are under the oversight of Congress. All of our operations are.
So like you're a private corporation that has a government contract? Is that what it is?
It's not a contract. It's considered quasi-governmental. So we're not
Quasi.
funded.
What does quasi mean? I'm sorry, Ashley. What does quasi mean?
Semi.
Semi-governmental. Okay.
Right.
So it's not really governmental. It's semi-governmental.
That's right.
It's okay. So this is not really governmental. It's semi-governmental. Okay, go on. I'm just trying to understand the explanation. I'm sorry. I just you got ahead of me. My brain don't work so fast. I'm sorry, Ashley. And this is pretty complicated. You know, you're saying that the board of governors that are in Washington D.C. run a private bank or run the bank for the private banks.
The board of governors is considered a government entity. They are subject to oversight so everything that we do has to be approved by Congress. However, we're not considered a government agency because we are not funded by the government. We create our own revenue.
So you're not considered a government agency because you're not funded by the government. That's why you're in the business section.
Right.
Because you're not considered a government agency funded by the government.
Right.
Ashley, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You got that, everybody? That number I dialed to talk to Ashley is 888-851-1920. Like I said previously, there's a website that says the Federal Reserve is real defensive about the question of ownership. This whole thing started with me picking up this yellow page book. Trying to get the angle here. It's backwards from me. This yellow page book, I looked up the Federal Reserve, and it's in the business section. I ripped out the page. I don't know how good this would show. Where is it here? I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't because it's so tiny. I ended up having to tear it out and scanning it to make it my Facebook avatar. I don't know if you see there. It's the Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami, and it is in the business section. I don't know if you can see that. Am I doing that right? All right. Oh, I forgot to confirm about the Modern Money Mechanics. It slipped my mind. You could call them. You know, if you don't want to believe me right now, but you could call them. You could. I ask you. I'm telling you, do this. Do this. If you don't believe I'm really doing this, do this. This booklet, Modern Money Mechanics, when they said on the machine that it was the Federal Reserve, did they say it? Oh, they said Atlanta. This was published by the one of Chicago. Well, I could ask them the question too. Just Modern Money Mechanics is a workbook published by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. The first 11 pages of this workbook is a criminal confession. It explains how the Federal Reserve Bank is robbing our country. This private bank, did you guys get all that? It's not really considered a government agency. That's why it's listed in the business section, but they don't really want to come out and say it. You guys catch that? And the other guy saying that businesses with government contracts can choose to be in the government section or the business section. So businesses with government contracts can choose to be in the business section or the government section. Businesses, read between the lines. Factcheck.org, a friend of mine sent me that the other day, and it was so full of BS about the Federal Reserve. It said the Federal Reserve is not a private bank. It's owned by private bank stockholders. And it's not a private bank. They're so blatant with it. It's you gotta laugh sometimes. Maybe not. Maybe I really should be more pissed off, but that ain't the important thing here. It's not here or there. All right, I just showed you that the Federal Reserve Bank is a private bank. Is a business. Ashley from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, 888-851-1920, explained that to me, and you just heard her. Not clearly, because like I've heard before, they're very defensive about this question, and you think about it. All this time, you've been believing that the Federal Reserve is a government agency, haven't you? And it is not. And it's Federal Reserve Bank. I can't get this right. I'm backwards in this video. Or in reverse. This Modern Money Mechanics was published by the Federal Reserve Bank. In the first 11 pages of this workbook, is the most damning criminal confession of our time. It's how they are robbing America. It explains that when America or Americans, because the Federal Reserve Bank, even though it doesn't openly own all the national banks and what do they call them here? And depository institutions, even though their names aren't on the deed or the title, their rules are over them, because all national banks and depository institutions, they all deal in the same product, Federal Reserve notes. Look at your money, what you think is your money. I have everything here but 100. On the top of the $1 bill, right here, I'm going backwards. Just look at your own money. It says Federal Reserve note. $5 bill. Federal Reserve note. Remember what we just learned from talking to the people over the phone? It's a private entity. Federal Reserve note. Federal Reserve note. And I promise you, if I had a Benjamin Franklin here, it would say the Federal Reserve note also. All right, so this publication by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, you can call them and verify if it's theirs. I should have done that with Ashley. She might have been able to answer that question, and she might have too. This workbook explains that when our government needs money, it goes to the Federal Reserve and it borrows money from them with interest on it. The Federal Reserve then ledgers in a book entry, and we're on the hook for that much money to them. It isn't that the Federal Reserve draws from an account and then deposits in a treasury account, draws from an account at its bank and then deposits in a treasury account. It simply ledgers in a book entry. You can read it for yourself. It's the first 11 pages. I made a video called I Need to Talk to You About Modern Money Mechanics. It's a 4-parter. I would have liked to have done it like Ben Lowry did his Federal Reserve video, but his Modern Money Mechanics video, but I don't have the technology. I couldn't access it. So I did it a little old school, but if you bear with it, you'll see where in the first 11 pages it speaks about it's basically that video is basically a study guide for modern money mechanics. So check it out. Download the first 11 pages of Modern Money Mechanics and learn how the scam works and what it is. The scam is our government goes into debt. Our government, the United States government, instead of utilizing all the abundant resources that it has on our continent, from East Coast, I don't know the direction here, to Pacific Coast, and and then Hawaii and Alaska. They have so many resources. Why don't they, instead of borrowing the currency that they use in our economy to circulate commerce from this private entity that charges us interest on it, why don't they instead use all these resources on our land to create our own currency for ourselves to use interest-free? We'd have no debt. The only reason the United States has any debt whatsoever is because it borrows the currency that it uses in our economy. It's our economy. Why don't we use our money? You say buy American. Yeah, we should buy American, but we can't buy American if we're using foreign script for currency in our own nation. The owners of the Federal Reserve are offshore bankers. You know, it's the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. You'll see a whole bunch of hoopla saying it takes some digging to find the owners, it ain't the point of the story of what I'm doing here. I'm trying to show you that first and foremost, the Federal Reserve is a private bank. With what I just did with the phone directory of Miami-Dade County. With modern money mechanics, the first 11 pages explain that all the currency that we use in our economy comes into circulation when borrowed into existence from the Federal Reserve Bank or its member banks. But Bank of America, when it loans you money, it's not loaning you money that says Bank of America on top. Wachovia doesn't loan you money that says Wachovia on top. All these banks are loaning you the Federal Reserve's money. The Federal Reserve private entity bank has a monopoly on banking in America. Even though it has all these satellite corporations, they answer to them. They sell their product. They sell their product. This product right here belongs to the Federal Reserve. It's loaned to our government and to us through the national banks with interest on it, and it all needs to be paid back. That means that, as it explains in this booklet, that if all Americans, corporations, people, government alike, all Americans ever managed to pay off all their debts, we'd have no currency in circulation for commerce in our economy, because debt to the Federal Reserve private bank is our currency, according to modern money mechanics. According to modern money mechanics, if we pay off all the national debt's paid off, we have no money in circulation in our economy, because that's how it comes into existence, with debt. We have to pay it back, and to exacerbate the situation, there's interest on it. That this booklet doesn't talk about, because the interest is I'm trying not to curse. The interest is it compounds the con beyond it. It's just evil. The interest is beyond evil. So then we borrow. Oh, and that's another thing. We can't be sovereign. A nation cannot be sovereign if they have to borrow the currency that they use in their own economy to circulate commerce in their economy. Why is the United States government, with all the resources available to it, instead of printing its own money interest-free for itself to use, so it does not have to go into debt? That's the only reason why we have a debt, because we borrowed money. Why are we borrowing money? You know what? There's a flag. There's a map. I'm pretty tight here. Look at all the resources from coast to coast. From coast to coast. Atlantic to Pacific. Look at all these resources. And you want to put people to work? Put us work in printing our own money. Why don't we print our own money? No one, no Republican, not even Ron Paul, that's the answer to our problems in America today. We are borrowing our currency that we use to circulate our commerce from a foreign bank. I say a foreign bank because the owners of these are the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans. They're Israeli citizens or dual citizens. So they're foreigners. And we borrow our currency from them with interest on it instead of, look at all these resources. Instead of utilizing all these resources, ask yourself why. So according to Modern Money Mechanics, the first 11 pages, and you can see my video, I need to talk to you about Modern Money Mechanics. I also wrote a book, Debt Freedom Reign, where the second chapter is about the second chapter of this book that I wrote is a study guide to this book. Just like I need to talk to you about Modern Money Mechanics is a study guide to the first 11 pages. Let me say the first 11 pages. You don't need the whole book. You just need the first 11 pages. The first sentence of this book says, the purpose of this booklet is to describe the basic process of money creation in a fractional reserve banking system. Like I say in my book here, that sentence broods of serpents, because you don't need to read the whole booklet to learn how that happens. It is explained thoroughly in the first 11 pages. With a little deception, not deception, but with issues that don't pertain to money creation, but important to understanding the whole book. The first 11 pages build a foundation to understand the whole booklet. But in all of that, intertwined in all of that is the explanation of how money is created. Distracting issues, that's how I worded it in the book. And all those distracting issues that are brought up in the first 11 pages, you have a criminal confession. And I pointed out I need to talk to you about Modern Money Mechanics and in the second chapter of this book, which I'm going to read the second chapter of this book later on and post it also. All right, so far we have the Federal Reserve is a private bank. According to the two interviews I just had. They didn't come out and say it, but you got to read between the lies. Lies. Ashley didn't lie too much. Ashley said that it's not considered a government agency. That's why it's in the business section. But she didn't say it's a business. Modern Money Mechanics, published by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. I thought it was Atlanta, Chicago. And explains that while America enforces the Federal Reserve Act, America's fleeced. America's going to be fleeced by them. That's what this booklet explains. If America, in the first 11 pages of this booklet, it explains thoroughly that while America is utilizing the Federal Reserve Bank for its currency and is enforcing the Federal Reserve System or Federal Reserve Act in our country, we're screwed. That's what the first 11 pages of this booklet explain. And remember, it's a private bank. Private bank. We're screwed while we use them. Their own words. And now from this book, I started with a couple of quotes from our founding fathers. I'm going to tell you the quote from Thomas Jefferson. A lot of people in this movement are familiar with this quote. It reads, "If the American people ever allow private banks to control their currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and the corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all their prosperity until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered." Thomas Jefferson said this. He's the third president of the United States of America. They knew back then. The war was fought. Look, this is why the war was fought. This is an excerpt from my book. Benjamin Franklin went to England as a representative of the colonies, and English officials asked him, "How is it that the colonies managed to collect enough taxes to build poorhouses, and how were they able to handle the great burden of caring for the poor? Franklin replied, "We have no poorhouses in the colonies, and if we had, we would have no one to put in them. As in the colonies, there is not a single unemployed man." Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm off the screen. It's just the way the light is here. Let me go back to that. In the colonies, there is not a single unemployed man. No poor and no vagabonds. In the colonies, there's no single unemployed man, no poor and no vagabonds. And here is why. It is because in the colonies, we issue our own paper money. Novel idea, huh? America, resources, we can issue our own paper money. You want a gold system? How much gold is here? Really? Paper or gold, it's not that I'm a greenbacker. I just don't believe that there's enough gold in our country and silver for us to be able to create our own currency in sufficient quantity to sustain the amount of commerce that goes on in our economy every day. Weekly, monthly, annually. If there is, great. If there's not, we need a complementary currency. Currencies that complement one another. I just got off the beaten path. When Franklin was asked how do they care for their poor and maintain the poorhouse, he says there's no poor in our colonies, and there are no unemployed men or vagabonds or poorhouses. And this is why. It is because in the colonies we issue our own paper money. We call it colonial script. And we issue only enough to move. We call it colonial script, and we issue only enough to move all goods freely from the producers to the consumers. And we create our money, we control the purchasing power of money, and we have no interest to pay. No interest to pay because they're not borrowing it. They're creating it for themselves to use, interest-free. King George heard this and he said, "If this mischievous financial system, which has its origins in North America, shall become endured down to a fixture, then that government will furnish its own money without cost. It will pay off debt and be without debt. It will have all the money necessary to carry on its commerce. It will become prosperous without precedent. It will become prosperous without precedent in the history of the world. The brains and wealth of all countries will go to North America. That country must be destroyed, or it will destroy every monarchy on the globe." Benjamin Franklin is later quoted saying, "The refusal of King George III to allow the colonies to operate an honest money system which freed the ordinary man from the clutches of the money manipulators was probably the prime cause of the revolution." So when the colonists figured out that they could free themselves of slavery from King George by printing their own money, not having to borrow it from the Central Bank of England, who is the oligarchy that supported King George. It's the Rothschild oligarchy, the House of Rothschild, the banking cartel Rothschild, the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank, the owners of every central bank on earth, the owners of 85% of the paper script, of the paper printed that we accept as currency for no good reason, for very bad reasons, but not for no good reasons. All right, one last thing. We just heard Ben Franklin explain that if we borrow our money from banks instead of creating it for ourselves to use interest-free. I wasn't Ben Franklin. I got those guys mixed up. Ben Franklin's who I just read. Thomas Jefferson. It was Thomas Jefferson who warned that if we borrow our currency instead of utilize our own resources for our own currency, we're screwed. Modern Money Mechanics goes on to explain that, and I want to read a little something from Modern Money Mechanics that this is in the first 11 pages. Like I said, the first 11 pages is very damning. This portion of Modern Money Mechanics doesn't talk about money creation, but it does explain that they know exactly what they're doing. I'm reading this pretty much for the people who say our politicians are stupid, our economists are stupid, our, the Ben Bernanke is stupid. Far from stupid. Geithner, far from stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. This is from the second page of Modern Money Mechanics. Remember, just worry about the first 11 pages. You could throw the rest away. I mean, if you really want to understand how economy works, don't read the rest. But if you want to understand how the con on America works, it's in the first 11 pages. All right. This is from the section on page 2. It goes into page 3 called What Makes Money Valuable? Think about NAT and GAFTA while I read this. Control of the quantity of money is essential if its value is to be kept stable. Money's real value can be measured only in terms of what it will buy. Therefore, its value varies inversely with the general level of prices, assuming a constant rate of use. If the volume of money grows more rapidly than the rate at which the output of real goods and services increases, prices will rise. This will happen because there will be more money than there will be goods and services to spend it on at prevailing prices. Prices will rise because there's more money in circulation than there are goods and services to spend it on. They know this. They know that if they ship all our jobs overseas and increase the money supply, they're going to collapse our country. They're going to collapse their economy, and we're going to be screwed. I'm usually not this polite when I talk privately. Not about these issues. I get fired up. This makes me angry. It's when I'm speaking privately, I'm cursing over this. This gets me hot. They know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're not innocent. They're doing this on purpose. Now look at this. They're going to talk about deflation now. But if, on the other hand, growth in the supply of money does not keep pace with the economy's current production, then prices will fall. The nation's labor force, factories, and other production facilities will not be fully employed, or both. So while our money is being printed and in excess, we have both inflation and deflation going on. We're being attacked on all sides in our nation by the Federal Reserve Bank. And not one politician talks about it. Not one Republican, Ron Paul just said, and the Fed. But he talks about auditing the Fed. Audit the Fed. You have a criminal confession right here, brother. In the first 11 pages, brother. Read it. They explain thoroughly how they're robbing us. People say there's nothing we could do about it. There's plenty we could do about it. We could change this. We could change this. Stop watching men playing with balls. Football, baseball. Or do that, but get on this also. Stop being American IDLE, watching American IDOL. They tell us what they're doing. Television programming. What do you think they're programming? Oh, and that reminds me. All the stuff you get on the mainstream media. Oh, you heard that on the internet. You can't believe that. You got that off the internet. Well, guess what? This right here, what I just did right here, Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, Rick Sanchez, name them. Go down the line. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you that the Federal Reserve Bank, they don't do any journalism whatsoever, any true reporting. They show up to work, read what the New World Order writers wrote for them to read and read it and then collect their checks. That's what they do. There's no real reporting or journalism on mainstream media television anymore. On the internet, you just saw me right here get on the Yellow Pages, call both the Yellow Page directory assistance or customer service line, and speak with Sterling from Advertising Solutions of the Yellow Pages. And I'll give you his number. You don't believe me? 1-800-438-7325. 1-800-438-7325. That's who I spoke to from the Yellow Pages and asked him, why is the Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami listed in the private section? He tells me that a business that has a government contract can be listed in either government section or private section. Or business section. It's the same. Private section, business section. And then Ashley at 888-851-1920, 888-851-1920 tells me that it's not considered a government agency, so that's why it's in the business section. You go to factcheck.org, they let you know that they're very defensive about the question. You got this off the internet, not off the mainstream media. I'm not getting the angle here. I'm reverse, so I apologize for getting out of the screen continuously. You know, you got this off the internet. You get this off the internet, right here. It's available. You could call them and ask them, did you guys really publish this? And verify. You could get their number off the internet. You get all this stuff off the internet. You got it off the internet. You could get this off the internet. This is my book. You know what? Support your local patriots. It's only $7. The information here is priceless. You know, I'm not making any money on it. I think I'm getting paid 37 cents for the book. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to protect me and mine and everything that's good on this planet. We save America, we save the world. We need to save the world. You need to stop watching men playing with balls. You need to stop being American idols, IDLEs. You really need to put that garbage down, at least at least till we get our country back on track. And don't say there's nothing we could do about it, because there's a plethora of things we could do about it. Look up local currency, mountainhours.com, Ithaca.org. There's counties that are producing their own currencies without interest on them, because you have the right to do so. Because this is still America. This is still America. You know, it's not Nazi full blown just yet. We're almost there. You know, but while it's still America, let's get this on track. If you have stake in the future, if you have children, you know, if you plan on being alive more than 12 months, you know, come on, let's not forsake our future. You know? So support your patriots, you know, support me. Lulu.com, LULU.com, type in Debt Freedom Reign. The book is $7. I think I get 37 cents for every book I sell. The information here is valueless. I'm going to post chapters 2 and 4 because I revised them. And I'm going to post it on YouTube, so anybody who's bought the book can see it on YouTube and get the revised issue previous to the revision. Everything else in the book is the same. And I don't know what else to say. That's the answer. That's the answer to our problems in America. Not all the BS that all the Republicans are talking about. Not all the BS that Obama talks about. Not all the BS that the Democrats talk about. All that. It's all theater. It's all theater. There's a book that you could get off the internet called The Banker's Manifesto. You can get a PDF, a free PDF of it off the internet, where it says, I'm going to paraphrase, where it says, we don't care what happens with the politicians and the politics and the rules and laws of the government. so long as the government continues to borrow the currency that they use in their economy from us. Nothing matters to them. Everything else is a distraction. Everything else is theater. Everything else is unconstitutional, by the way. You know, they don't follow the Constitution. They've all betrayed their oath of office. You know, they're traitors. You know what should happen to traitors? I think that's it. I think I got it all. That's it. We need to get off the Federal Reserve System. None of the politicians that are running for president are talking about this. None of no one that is in politics in Washington is talking about this. Not only do we need to get off the Federal Reserve System, we need to stop. There is a flaw in our Constitution. It needs to be amended to say we will no longer ever again borrow currency from another entity. It's not in there. They miss putting that in there. So, and you know what? I say that because I'm thinking it should be in there. But in reality, if it wasn't there currently, we have a de facto government in place. So they don't honor anything in the Constitution. So why would they honor that amendment? You know? So, you know, we need to get real. The answer is simple. The answer is simple. It's changing our monetary system. We can start local currencies. We can stop using the Federal Reserve note. We need to talk about this stuff. You know, who wins the Super Bowl on Sunday doesn't matter. Because who's going to win America is going to be them. In the real close end. You know, if you're thinking the economy is going to collapse in the far future, you're in denial, brother. It's collapsing right now. Look how many homeless people there are. You know, look at how many unemployed people there are. Look how much of our own products we produce ourselves. Look how many production jobs exist in our country. It's collapsing. It's in the process. We're probably in the third inning of a 7-inning stretch. Top of the third, bottom of the third. Transition. But it's happening, and there are answers. There are things we can do. Don't go along with the destruction of your own species and the forfeiture of your inheritance. This country is our inheritance. And to everybody who says, "Oh, you didn't sign the Constitution," blah blah blah. Hey, that's all fine and dandy. But you know who did swear to uphold it? The government. And and that's their operating bond. They're supposed to adhere to that operating bond. If they don't, it's up to us to fix things. Because they're not going to fix things, obviously. They're going to keep perpetuating it. Because they're not talking about the issue at hand. They're avoiding what's important, and that's creating our own currency and our own economy for ourselves to use. All right, guys. I guess that's it. Whoever walked in right at the perfect time, because I'm done now. All right. Thank you very much. God bless America. God bless you. And you know, don't ever say there's nothing we can do about it, because you're part of the problem if you're saying that. Because there's a plethora of things we could do about it. Remember that. If Facebook me, and I have there's a plethora of things we could do about it. Don't excuse yourself saying there's nothing we could do about it. You know, you just haven't thought about it. I'm sure you could tell me the stats of whatever quarterback's playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday, but you can't tell me we do anything about it. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Do they know how to Facebook you?
You could type in my name, I guess, and it should come up.
My name is?
My name is Xavier Garay. It shows it on my YouTube channel. I'm going to post this on YouTube. In case I can't post it on YouTube and I have to go another way, my name is XAB like boy, IER. Last name is GARAY. All right, guys, check me out on Facebook. If you want something to do to save America, check out my Facebook page. Email me, Xavier_Garay@yahoo.com. Buy my book at lulu.com. If you don't believe anything that I did was legitimate, do it yourself. I gave you the phone numbers. I'll give it to you again on my way out. The Yellow Page Advertising department is 1-800-438-7325. I spoke to Sterling, the Federal Reserve Branch Bank of Miami. Oh, no, that wasn't the branch bank. I think that was like just an international line. The international line for customer service that I got is 888-851-1920. I spoke with Ashley. As for them, tell them to check out this video if you want. All right, guys. If you don't believe me,
X, I don't mean to interrupt you. Could I borrow some of these Federal Reserve petrol debt notes? You don't need them, do you?
Nah, I don't want them. Get that satanic script out of my face.
Thanks. I'll just burn them.
Right.
I'm just going to take them out and burn them.
Thank you. Be careful for the demons that are going to come out of them as they're going to scream. All right, brother. All right, everybody. God save America.